Hello everybody and welcome back to Analog Vernacular. Today we're going to be playing some more Rogue Trader. And let's see, we are going... Oh, we got to turn this first. And then we're going to be going into a new area. Let's see, is it this way or the other? The other. Okay, this is for Heinrich's stuff. So we're just about done with Kiava Gamma, it looks like. After we do whatever's... Oh my god. That thing is moving. No. Don't stop moving. I hate it. I hate it. Make it stop. Please, why are they moving? Why are the masses of bodies moving? Which Chaos Demon is this? Oh no. Oh no. Okay, that's one way to start a recording, huh? Okay. Halfway through this archetype, we got a skill. Alright, let's see, where are we at with you? Ballistic skill would be a bonus. We also need a bonus in fellowship, but since we already started working on ballistic, nope, these are skills, not characteristics. Gotta get your stuff right. Okay, so in this case, persuasion could be a good one. 99. Ooh, so close to 100. Let's see, not Medicaid. So it's between persuasion, coercion, and commerce, I feel like. And persuasion is probably going to be the one I go with. Okay. Yep, we already did ballistic skill, so I guess in this case we will do fellowship. We can get ballistic skill somewhere else. Okay. Now, for you, your agility's pretty... Weapon skill would get us a bonus. So let's do that. Okay. Lore Xenos. Although, since Uralon is currently part of our main team, she's going to be better at Xenos anyway. So maybe we do athletics or carouse. He's also decent at demolition, but once again, Argenta's mostly our focus on that. Okay. Who is our best athletics? Does it show here? It does. But it only shows you who's in the party, doesn't... Oh, that's too bad. It'd be really nice if they actually showed you your backline as well. Yeah, that's too bad. Mostly I'm wondering if, like, Abelard has better athletics or something. Okay, let's do athletics. I feel like that comes up more than carouse. But once again, it's more about just making sure that you have different people and different specialties, you know? Okay. So for you... Pascal's kind of our only person who's done any building into intelligence, which kind of sucks. Like, even if we take him out, Uralon, we have her kind of building into tech use, but we need somebody who can build into logic a little bit. Okay. Perception and willpower and fellowship. You've already got willpower taken. Perception does help with dodge, and she often is kind of a frontliner. So let's do perception. And then I suppose you might be the one that we want to build some logic in. So logic and awareness are going to be your main ones, I think. So let's start building logic a little bit. Okay. Tech use. Get that bonus in agility. Maybe Medicae in this case. Anybody who's doing healing with med kits should have a little bit of Medicae so that their med kits are a little bit more effective. Do we care about that strength bonus? Mostly we care about meeting requirements for heavy weapons. And right now we're barely meeting the requirement for the heavy bolter that we have. What I don't know is if later in the game we're going to have other heavy weapons that require even higher strength. That's the tough thing here. Let's just do this to get our +4 on our bonus at the very least, and then maybe we'll wait until we see if there's higher requirements for things. And we'll invest in other places until we find out. Let's see. Okay. Now, for you... probably just gonna take tech use. We're probably gonna have to rebuild Pascal. The biggest issue with him right now is that he's been heavily invested into weapon skill, but whenever he gets characteristics, strength isn't one of his things, which means that we're missing out on so many opportunities. It seems like the only way to build his strength is through your abilities, through your talents and whatnot. Which means that, like, it makes it difficult to build him into a melee unit, which is half of his moveset, when you literally can't give him more melee damage through this list right here. I think I'm gonna have to rebuild him one of these days. He's like the one unit where he still has a lot of use because of his tech and logic, but the build that I built him into, I didn't foresee these issues. I didn't foresee these issues. And now we've gotten pretty far in and the issues are compounding. Okay. The screen of this cogitator shows a scrolling line of repeating technolingua. Staring at the obscure symbols gives you a headache.
I always keep my options open.
Oh no, they're gonna break out, aren't they? Numerous wires and pipes run to the filthy cages, which are filled with what look like a conglomeration of human bodies. You cannot make out who is in the cage, but bright blue sparks flash intermittently in the darkness while the mass of flesh twitches and shudders. Hate that. Heinrichs casts a scrutinizing eye over one of the cages before withdrawing his weapon and approaching to examine what lies inside. Look at the cage closest to you. Through the metal bars, you see it as truly a pile of human bodies, or something that used to be. The monstrously deformed bodies have fused together in places, while others were severed using saws and knives, leaving wounds seeping pus and slime. Wounds that are agglutinating, and that's the word of the day, huh? And sprouting tendons. Oh my. Rods connected to wires that run to a nearby cogitator bristle across the flesh. One of the human heads turns to you. Mercy. They're connected to the cogitators? Even attempting to speak causes the mutant pain, but he bears the agony and forces out the words. Mercy, make it stop. Okay, Medicae, we failed. You peer the pulsating mass of flesh beneath the thin film coating the skin of this monstrous creation. You can see the throbbing veins that snake through the flesh and the flowing yellow ichor. The creature looks like a conglomeration of several people, squeezed together by brutal hands into a single whole. What is this? Heinrich takes in his surroundings and once again fixes his attention on the contents of the nearest cage. I'm beginning to have some idea. The Lex Mechanic mentioned the inhabitants of the lower levels who had been imprisoned in their homes. He said some of them were brought here. Cultists did something to those poor people in their home, and now they are studying the result. The Lex Mechanic talked about some kind of slag waste disposal and chaos symbols on machines. What are the archenemy's minions doing to the people of the lower levels? To know the workings of dark sorcery means allowing corruption into oneself. Heinrich scowls. These are warp mutations, no doubt. Perhaps there was some side effect, and that is why they were brought here. To be connected to sensors and cogitators. Even fallen tech priests who have rejected the Omnissiah are driven by a perverted hunger for knowledge. Why were they hooked up to the cogitators, though? He carefully studies the screen of the computing machines. Lingua Technis, corrupted by the scrap code, I'm sure. It's unlikely we will be able to extract anything of value from their data crypts. Thinking, Heinrich clenches his fist and bites down on a knuckle, and then recoils when the mutant from the nearest cage reaches a hand out to him through the bars. A female face watches you from within the gloom of the cage, even though half of her head has been turned into a mess of bones and lumpen growths. Her single eye looks at you with a surprising amount of intelligence. You promised us. Her words are echoed by other voices in the depths of the cages. Heinrich leans towards the cage, but at sufficient distance to ensure that the mutant cannot reach him. Who are you talking to? What did they promise you? Who are they? You took us from the inferno. You promised us a reward. Her face contorts in a grimace, and the creature's lips stick together like melted wax. Oh my god. These descriptions are horrid. I'll be damned, they can still speak. They remember the people who did this to them. Heinrich balls his fist in powerless rage. Then he frowns in thought. Perhaps a little biomancy will allow us to draw the fragments of knowledge out of them. Or it will trigger further changes. Okay, what do you want to do? My psycho abilities allow me to affect the human body. It is one of the most effective tools to use against individuals who resist questioning. But if you're suggesting that I want to use it, I think you are getting a little ahead of yourself. The effect of warp energy will likely lead to an explosive reaction. I do not know the precise mechanism of this mutation. The result could be even more monstrous than its current state. Honestly, I think that we need to do we need to figure this out. If there is something that will make them talk, we must use it. You think so? Tiny fragments of data that could prove worthless and even harmful to us in exchange for participating in this torture. You were the one who suggested it, and now you're gonna try and call me out for going along with your thing? No, dude, I was trying to go along with you. What the hell? Fine, I'll do my thing and get my points then. All right, so here's what I'm battling with this, right? I never know when those options are the actual choice or just going to give us points and then the actual choice comes after. We found 2 moments in Kiava Gamma alone already where choosing Iconoclast didn't actually choose the Iconoclast option. It just gave us our points and then we got to confirm or deny.
Is there money to be made?
it makes it tough to figure it out, because like what I've heard, that it's really hard in this game. They didn't balance the game properly enough, where if you didn't just choose all of the Iconoclast stuff, by the end of the game people were not being able to max out Iconoclast and get to like the best options for Iconoclast, even though they were choosing almost exclusively Iconoclast. I think that they've actually updated that in some of the patches, so that the Iconoclast gains, or whatever you're doing, dogmatic, Iconoclast, or chaotic, you get more gains, so that it's less likely for that to happen. So I don't know what to do. I don't know if I should just be choosing Iconoclast to make sure that I can max out that tree, or if they fix that issue. It's hard to say. Oh hey, we succeeded this time. You examine the pulsating mass of flesh. The creature in the cage seems to be composed of several bodies joined together. You see no sutures or any other means by which these separate parts could have been connected. Among the layers of meat, you can discern large knots of muscle, various limbs, exposed bones, parts of faces, and entire heads. Only warp sorcery is capable of creating such an abomination while preserving its ability to live on. Okay, we'll go through the same trees. See, you ask him, what do you want to do? And he basically says, I can do this, which implies that he wants to get the knowledge. And then he calls you out when you... I don't like that. I don't like the way they did that. It's like, if I'm asking him what he wants to do, and he says, well, this is what I can do, the assumption is that that's the option he wants to go with. And then you do this and he's like, are you sure? You want me to torture this man? I'm like, dude, fuck you. It's fine. Alright, Heinrichs, let this go. You were only prolonging their suffering. And he's gonna call us out for doing this one too. I am inclined to relieve their suffering. Okay, so this is the one that he wanted to do. So when we asked him, he just wasn't being forthcoming. Every moment of existence in such a state is pure torture for the people locked in these sheets. Alright, let's deliver them from their suffering then. We'll get the information elsewhere, somehow. Heinrichs wavers for another moment and then leans over the cogitators. Each mutant has cables attached. I may not know the nature of these machines, but it isn't too difficult to increase the voltage. Ah, this switch here. Interesting that his preferred thing in this moment is more iconoclast than it is dogmatic, considering he's an inquisitor. You hear the crackle of electricity, the wires glow with blue sparks, and the creature locked in the cages drops lifelessly to the floor. A sharp tang of burned meat hangs in the air. Well, that's that then, but do you know what bothers me, rogue trader? The number of people here, they're too few. The lower levels of similar factorums are inhabited by millions. What happened to the rest of them? He shakes his head. I know I won't like the answer. Let's go, we still haven't done what we came here to do. We're gonna end up having to destroy this entire planet, aren't we? Are we gonna have to purge this planet? This place is steeped in corruption, which means that it must be cleansed with fire down to the last crevice. Was that in response to what I just said, Argenta? Sister, tame your fervor. Your zeal is laudable, but first I must ascertain the intentions of the archenemy, not crush his manifestations without a second thought.
Keep your wits about you.
Okay. Just a room with a computer. Data vault. The massive cogitator grows out of the metal bulkheads like a grotesque tumor. A hollow roar sounds from deep within the metal housing. Whatever spurred the computer into action, it has enough power to supply a small command center. As soon as your eyes fall upon the cogitator, you feel a tingling in your temples. Every nook, every component of the machine radiates a sense of wrongness, one that is difficult to explain but no less palpable for that. It is as though the construct itself defies the laws of physics and perspective. Heinrichs makes a warning gesture, his voice ringing slightly with tension, his thread with disquiet. Stop, vernacular. That is a creation of the archenemy. Don't go near it. You have done enough for me and my mission. Don't put yourself at risk now. As soon as Heinrichs takes another step towards the cogitator, it emits a deafening shriek like hundreds of metal needles driving into toughened glass. As though sensing a stranger, wincing, Heinrichs approaches the control panel and bends down towards the screens. Despite the heat clogging the room, you feel an ice-cold breeze. Heinrichs is clearly using his psyker abilities to try to fend off the pernicious effects of the Chaos artifact. The Omnissiah's grace has not touched this object. This mechanism was not desecrated, but born flawed and unnatural. Iron most profane. Pascal unhurriedly produces a data slate. Initiating observation log. Let not fear stand in the path of knowledge. Keep your distance and wait. A minute passes, then another. You watch Heinrichs examine the cogitator, his eyes scan the screens, his hands darting from the reel to the lever, sometimes hovering uncertainly over the next switch, which immediately receives a coating of frost. At some point you hear his voice, almost a whisper, barely audible, above the clanging, roaring machine. Sacrifices. More and more sacrifices every minute. Heinrichs looks at you, his eyes darker now, appearing almost black in his white face. Determinants? Hecatomb determinants. The womb of this cursed machine is down on the lower levels. The auxiliary enumerator controls the system for delivering molten waste under the Manufactorum's main building. This cogitator is fueled by the energy harness from thousands of people who are flowing beneath our feet as slag waste as we speak. Jesus Christ. So basically the entire planet is being turned into a battery of sorts, made of human flesh, to source whatever they're building here, which seems to be a bunch of those weird fiend creatures. Machines. I cannot even imagine the reason for sacrificing all these people. It's inconceivable. Now we know why the Fabricator Censor prized this monster so highly. The cursed tech priest and his associates created something that went beyond the limits of the Omnissiah's power. This machine is designed to process myriad possibilities using warp sorcery. It has almost finished its task. It predicts the future, vernacular. I'm sorry, come again? How is that even possible? Do not attempt to gain any insight into the essence of the machines corrupted by the archenemy. At least not if you value your soul. I have encountered the heretics' mechanical abominations before. To truly fathom their nature is to allow a particle of death into your heart. Heinrichs is silent for a few moments, but the fruit they bear, no matter how abhorrent their instruments, the fruit they bear could be useful. Wow! So this is how the cult is basically getting their premonitions. That's how they knew that that planet was going to get destroyed at the beginning of the game. Do you intend to let a creation from beyond the veil do what it was designed to do? Uralon stares at Heinrichs in astonishment. Is it not your calling to protect your kind from the schemes and temptations of Cylon Thresh? I mean, there's no... I'm kind of on his side, as long as there's not a... Which there probably is. There's probably a chance of, becoming infected with chaos, but... if we can glean a little bit before we destroy it, that might be a good thing, but... Yeah, it's a tough one. You cannot understand this, Xenos. Knowing one's enemy is the path to destroying them. If in order to prevent countless future calamities I must perpetrate one of my own, such is my duty to the Golden Throne. Implying that letting this finish is a calamity in and of itself. Oh good. Uralon remained silent for a while, her head tilted to one side. Not only do you not keep watch over your kin, you even sacrifice your own souls to your dead god. It is astounding. Heinrich's clouded gaze suddenly clears and he glares at the cogitator. No, the cult's filthy ravings are not worth that. What we can extract from its storage drives will be enough. Okay. Yeah, we need to put this planet out of its misery, damn. We need to stop the cogitator, for the sake of the people still alive down there. I am so interested in what this would, glean for us, though. But we're not doing it. Heinrich vacillates for another second, then shakes his head as though clearing away mental fog. I almost succumbed to the archenemy's old trick. You know, that's not something I considered, actually. Yeah, okay. The lure of the unattainable, the primary of all the traps that chaos sets for the unwary souls. Heinrich's movements are exact and purposeful. Unlike his early operation of the cogitator, one after another, the cogitator screens begin to fade to black, and the roar coming from inside the machine quietens to a barely perceptible howl, in which you imagine you hear notes of dejection. Okay, so he did extract some information from the cogitator, right? Heinrich bends over the keys and flinches as if from an electric shock. His head snaps back unnaturally, and you see his lips moving. The cogitator lets out a roar that grows louder by the second. Oh, shit. Okay. Alright, no matter what, we're hitting somebody.
Isn't this a job for the serfs?
Yeah, her thing that lets her use both of these actually triggers really often for her. Love it. That's the stuff. Honestly, she probably wasn't the one who needed it. Probably would have been better on Argenta. That's okay, though. Let's put it right here. I think those are the ones that... Do those turn into the two little blue guys, too? Oh my god, that was... I thought I could get away with not setting up people in smart starting positions. And now look what's happened. Yeah, we're gonna have to restart this fight, certainly. Look at that. They just took out our team.
You should have fought better.
Let's see if we can pull it back. We won't, but let's see.
Just designate a target.
Can you even see that guy? That's all I want.
I am not your Xenos pet.
I'll put my psychic abilities to use. For the throne's glory.
Taking calculated risk is my second nature.
But of course, Lord Captain.
Whoops, I thought that was this one. I keep getting those mixed up because I use them in conjunction with one another.
Holy terror, smite your enemies. Scorn the pain.
I'll make it happen. Who if not me?
Battlefields are always drowned in scarlet. I am a navigator, not a servitor. Emperor, give me strength. I'm not accustomed to being ordered or try to die with grace, at least. Do not dare ask.
slips beyond the veil. I will not. This tedium is beneath me.
I'll see to it personally.
Me? If you insist, Lord Captain.
I'll make it happen. Enemy down. It's as good as done.
Isn't this a job for the serfs? Me? If you insist, another foe painted black.
I understand your intent. If its ancestors guide me.
Help me, Lord Captain!
I was muted for a while and I don't know for how long. Which disappoints me because I was very, very excited about us turning this around. And I wanted you all to hear my excitement with me.
If I must. I am not your Xenos pet.
But yeah, like, I can't believe we're gonna win this. It's such a bad start, like, I can't see us losing now. You know, knock on wood. That guy was marked as prey, so let's do this, give them bonuses as well.
Who if not me?
That's it. We pulled it back. We pulled it back. Hell yeah. Okay. I'm happy. Heinrich stares at the smoldering ashes of the demon and then at the destroyed cogitator. The furrow on his brow slowly smooths out. His face looks almost contented. The creation of chaos is no more. I hope the fabricator censor did not have time to pass on the secrets of this creature to his associates. And I hope that the survivors down in the lower levels can hold on until we liberate Kiava Gamma. Uralon looks at Heinrichs. There is more wisdom in you than I thought at first. One must never touch what was created by... I can do without the Xenos moralizing. Know your place. Hey, on my team, we will respect each other. That goes for both of you. Don't make me turn this car around. Uralon's momentarily unfurrowed brow quickly tenses again. Oh, I never forget it, monkey. Wait, are we not gonna let these guys die? If they're what we just saw out in that other area, like, we gotta destroy them. I saw something happen to you, Heinrichs. What happened when you touched the machine? Heinrichs jerks his head and waves away the question, his movements sharp and unnatural. We'll talk about it later, but right now... I must thank you, Vernacular. Without your help and cooperation, I doubt I would have reached the depths of Kiava Gamma and learned the truth behind my agents' dispatches and reports. I would never have ended up here, and I would never have succeeded in hampering the cult's activities. My business on Kiava Gamma is concluded. It is time to return to the mission that brought you to the industrial world. The only thing I'll ask of you is an audience when we return to the ship. Heinrich bows his head to signal that the conversation is over. Okay. Okay. I think we've done everything, so I'm assuming that this will resolve itself once we return to the ship. And then the only other main mission... Yeah, okay. So that's gonna finish this, and then we have this as our next main mission thing to do. And a couple things with our companions to still work on.
Let us not dawdle.
I'm still shocked I was able to turn that fight around. I keep thinking, like, when things go that south that we're just done for. I, like, give up in my head, and then I'm like, no, you know what? Just, like, give it a shot. Give it a shot. We might be able to pull this through. And we did. Even though we made some pretty poor choices in that fight. There's no doubt about that. When I got Uralon stuck in that corner, not being able to attack, I was like, we might have lost this one. Why does it keep taking my servitor off? My little... Where's my little buddy? Why does it keep unequipping him? Stop doing that. I want it. You don't have Medicaid, right? No. Not sure which one's closer, but seems like they're almost equal distance from each other. Okay, I want to see if this persists forever. Excuse me? Oh no. What are you? Sharp pain pierces your head and the light dims in your eyes. You smell smoke and burning, you feel a wave of nausea, your legs buckle and your knees hit the metal floor. In that same moment, the manufactorum surrounding you disappears in a whirlwind of mist, ash, and gray shadows. Struggling against the elements, you can barely raise your head to look. Your eyes sting and burn, but through the tears you see it, a colossal silhouette rising above you. The roaring tempest is unable to shake the mighty figure. 40%. It's actually based on my awareness. So in other words, like, we don't have the help of anybody here. I don't even think they can see this. Failed. Uralon the Cruel? Did we just find our BBEG, Big Bad Evil Guy? Writhing in pain, you raise your head and peer into the roiling darkness. You make out the figure's features. It is a huge man clad in dark power armor, from which demonic silhouettes snarl at you. The wind picks up, and you close your eyes, unable to stare into the face of this raging tempest. The warrior's inhuman eyes bore into you. I am the master of those who have been failed by your hand in the halls of the primordial truth. I am Uralon the Cruel. The souls of my followers return to the fount of power they served, crying out for me to cast my gaze toward this sacrilege. And what do I see? Yet another lackey of the Corpse Emperor. The giant's voice causes the storm raging around you to die down somewhat, as if the very sound of his voice is enough to make the whirlwind subside. You glance at the huge warrior and notice on his chest a winding azure symbol. The shades of blue seem to glimmer and mingle together. Is that the symbol we're talking about? I am the sovereign of Kiavagam, and this is my world, not a dominion of chaos. Oh, clinging to illusions will do you no good. The rituals have already been performed. The mortals are already singing the litanies of the primordial truth, or decorating these sacrificial altars with their flesh. Kiavagama, as you call it, is already saturated in the nectar of truth, a fate that awaits all worlds that would stand in our way. Well, where have you taken me? This is the bridge that connects our minds, created by the wheel of my slave, whose fate you should be envy. The Psyker is useful enough to me to be left alive, you less so. Wait, come again? The bridge that connects our minds, created by the will of my slave, whose fate you should be envying. The Psyker is useful enough to me to be left alive. Who could that be? Do we have the option of getting rid of Heinrich at all? Like, if we asked him to leave our party, like, we may not be able to take him into fights, but I don't think he'd leave the ship because he still is required to come with us on his mission, right? Idira, we've had the option to kill her on multiple occasions. Of course, we don't know what happens when we actually try to. Maybe I'm trying to think of which Psykers are required to stay in the story, you know what I mean? Like, is he referring to Heinrich or Idira in this instance? Maybe the connection was made when he accessed the computer. Maybe this literally just happened, and now he is the one who's considered the slave. What do you want with me? I want to look upon the one who has disrupted my flock's duties and my master's plans. That warrior from my legion, the Fabricator Censor. You think of their deaths as a triumph. However, it is but a minor hindrance on our path. There are other worlds that serve our goals. There are other sources of plasteel and adamantine. Revel in your victory. It will change nothing. Nevertheless, the blood in your veins whispers to the spirits that you warrant a closer look. Yes, you are a descendant of the rogue trader whose warrant Kunrad Voidfear sought to obtain, by defiling the relic and binding it to himself with the tethers of the Imperium. Oh, Kunrad is probably the slave you're talking about, right? Because he's a Psyker. Is he a Psyker? He is, right? I think we learned that early on, that I didn't know if what he was saying made him a Psyker or if it meant that he just had ties to chaos. By defiling the relic and binding it to himself with the tethers of the Imperium, he was meant to become my servant. A rogue traitor who would do the work of the truth. He defiled the relic? Uh-oh. But then you interfered. Could it be that you wish to gain the true god's favor instead? Do you wish to represent the corpse's relic to... Do you wish to present the corpse's relic to me and serve the truth? Hear your very blood calling, begging you to submit to me. What would be the point of futile defiance? You waste your time trying to tempt me. It is not blood that defines a person's deeds, only their will does. And my will is thus, be gone from my mind. His expression twists in pain as he stares at you in rage and bafflement. Pitiful insect, you dare. A gust of wind sweeps Uralon's figure away without a trace. The mist around you begins to dissipate, revealing the dark halls of the Manufactorum, and leaving behind an oppressive sense of powerlessness. I sensed the presence of another psyker. Someone made contact with you mentally, then tried to harm you with sorcery? I did what I could. You at least appeared unharmed. Can you remember what you saw? Yeah, I'm not saying that to an interrogator. Are you kidding me? Let's see. It was a Chaos Space Marine. One of the traitors to the Imperium? I don't think it was he who touched your mind. I wouldn't have had the strength to go up against a psyker from the ranks of those monsters. He might have forced some mortal to do his bidding. Perhaps it was through the same helpless medium that he sensed the deaths of his henchmen. Heinrich looks away and frowns. Such indescribable power. To have reached out to your mind at such a distance. Yeah, I don't want to say that. Doesn't matter, the sooner I forget about it, the better. Heinrich eyes you suspiciously, then reluctantly nods. The Manufactorum around you looks the same as before the vision. Maybe the shadows have grown a little deeper and darker. You dust yourself off and continue on your journey through the darkness. Yeah, tell the Inquisition that you're destined for chaos. Great idea. The world's industrial heart has fallen to corruption, but numerous faint vox signals from the periphery indicate that the planet's small manufacturing clusters survived without succumbing to the heretics. The sacred machines and hallowed lathes from these abodes have been reverently transported to the safety of the ship's holds. The fate of Kiava Gamma hangs in the balance. I mean, this is... I was under the impression that what was happening below was this merging of all of these humans. But maybe that's not what happened? Yep, just like we did in the first act, I think I'm going with this one. It just seems like what was happening there was so far gone. Purify and restore Kiava Gamma no matter the cost. The servants of the Adeptus Ministorum heeded the call and began to assemble a holy crusade to purify Kiava Gamma. It will take much time and effort to root out every tendril of corruption lurking in the dark corners of the Manufactorum. Yeah. It's a big dogmatic thing that we could have gotten a big bonus in Iconoclast, but hopefully they've balanced some of the gains a little bit in some of the updates, and we can still get pretty far in Iconoclast. We may not max it out by the end of the game. We probably won't, but that's one of the things that I don't like about systems like this, is like, in order to max it out, you basically are just forced to do everything that falls within a certain spectrum of choice. And I don't think that's a good way to do an RPG. But I guess it's a way to do it. It's not a big deal, honestly. But it does feel limiting in some ways when you want to get through an entire tree like that, but I think we'll just choose not to play it that way, so. I wonder if that choice also affects what projects are available to us. Let's see. So we've got restoration. All right, mostly, I'm probably going to be making these choices mostly on the rewards. We've gotten some weapons. We still don't have any. Is there mechanisms? Okay. Any of the other ones have mechanisms? Both of those have mechanisms. Well, that looks cool. Damage to Xenos, huh? Profit factor goes down, actually. Complacency goes up. Okay. Calculating holiness. For generations, the Adeptus Mechanicus have been custodians of the machinery and cogitators of Kiava Gamma. Recognizing the value of this tragedy-stricken world, they are willing to deploy a Forge Cathedral on it as a token of sympathy. Therein, the Blessed Fabricator Sensor Fortron will envision and lay out a new and more perfect design for the planet. Okay. This is where we're going to end this episode, so thank you all for being here. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Have a good one, everybody. Bye.
I'd like to give a very special shout out to my patron supporters, Darren York, ZTD, Knife Namaste, Kyle the Monarch, Chris Murphy, JW, Quinless, Vlado101, Andy Ford, Bruce Wizzle, Black Mamba 90, Eureka Gecko, A Happy Fat Panda, Turkeyfoot 27, Pedo Kuto, Shadow Raven, Anna Kate the Great, and Nadia N. If you would also like to join this tier or any others, check out my memberships or my Patreon in the description down below.